Hi, my name is Rayburn. Welcome to my speech on immigration reform in the United States. This speech will look a lot at very controversial topics presently, including authorized immigration versus nationalism, and we'll discuss topics such as DACA, DAPA, and the wall being built on the border. So, regardless to what side of the problem you're on, we will talk about immigration reform here. It is the view of this writer to generally support a decrease in deportation orders and to seek to increase asylum for those who are looking for safety in the United States. For this assignment, however, we'll have to do some controversial digging into the opposition of this topic. That means that we will be discussing topics such as support for immigration reform that looks at why deportation orders are important, as well as positive parts of the changes to DACA and the view that it is important to minimize the amount of individuals who are in the United States seeking asylum. So one thing that's definitely pretty undebatable is that regardless of what side you consider yourself, there's definitely a great amount of reform that needs to happen in the area of immigration. So some statistics that can be seen on this page. First, according to Faisal, Zaramondi, Feinstein, and Kaplan in their 2018 research, it was estimated that approximately 16.7 million Americans are living undocumented in the United States. And this slide that is shown here on this page shows both conservative, widely accepted, and average estimates on how many individuals are living undocumented. Because so many people become undocumented because they lose visa access, there's really not as much documentation of who even is here that was legally here, so it becomes really confusing. In addition to this, the next statistic below comes from Chairman Nadler. In September of this year, he stated that ICE was holding 51,814 people in detention. This is roughly 11,000 more people per day than was authorized by the fiscal year appropriations for the bill. And despite what anyone's beliefs are, it's clear that this is just a really big strain on the system and the families that are a part of that system. All right, so let's get down to the nitty gritty and talk about the two opposing sides to immigration reform. So the first viewpoint, which is in alignment with this writer, is shown here under the title of authorized immigration. So this side believes that individuals who are authorized and documented, we should absolutely support them, as well as help people to get access to those resources. So this viewpoint is associated with more liberal ideas, and believes that DACA and DAPA should be expanded to help young people who are seeking asylum. Additionally, it maintains that it's imperative to reshape the immigration enforcement system, such as ICE and border control, that will help to create a safer and more supportive environment for undocumented individuals. And as a part of this, more humane and more improvements should occur at the existing deportation centers. The second an opposing viewpoint can be seen as what's called nationalism. This viewpoint that will be presented later on in the assignment, and it believes that immigration reform should ensure harsher penalties for crimes committed by undocumented citizens. Additionally, as means of protecting U.S. citizens, stricter sanctions should be imposed that ensure deportation of immigrants who have overstayed their visas. In support of this recommendation, a border wall, in conjunction with the speedy removal of unlawful immigrants, will help to increase the security of the United States and its citizens. All right, so the two main talking points that will be discussed now that are in support of more nationalistic viewpoints are essentially criminality and taking away resources from Americans. So the nationalism views believe in rigid enforcement of border control and support strict deportation orders for undocumented immigrants. And so that means there's a great concern about the number of crimes committed by undocumented individuals who are living in the United States or people that come here and aren't ever documented. And then additionally that resources such as employment, healthcare are being taken away from United States citizens. And that is concerning. As well as that there's just obviously a huge amount of money being spent on all the immigration issues. And so trying to find a better, more financially sound way to handle that. So the first issue that will be discussed is criminality. So this viewpoint, as stated previously, has a concern about the number of citizens that are affected by crimes committed by undocumented citizens or illegal immigrants who are presently residing in the United States. And so a belief is that a firm way to stop that would be to deport people that are completing crimes or to have stricter border control to stop those individuals from entering the United States. A statistic, which can be seen here on this page, came from a recent report from the U.S. government, which came from President Trump, stating that the 2011 Government Accountability Office reportedly found nearly 3 million offenses tied to criminal aliens, including more than 25,000 homicides, more than 42,000 robbery offenses, nearly 70,000 sex crimes, and nearly 15,000 kidnappings. In addition to that, more than 250,000 illegal aliens have been charged with over 600,000 crimes in Texas in the last year. So that's a very significant amount of criminal activity that creates a strain on our legal system. So something we've talked a lot about thus far is just the resources that are utilized on immigration concerns presently, whether that be, actually at the border or whether that be at social service agencies. There's a lot of different strains that are occurring. So a statistic that I found in support of that came from Stephen A. Kimroda, and he's the Director of Research for the Center of Immigration Studies. And he reported that if said border wall stopped between 160 and 200,000 illegal crossovers, 9 to 12% of which were expected to cross successfully in the next decade. So if those folks were stopped, then the savings would be equal to 12 to 15 billion. So that is a really strong support for how this could be of a financial benefit to both taxpayers as well as to the U.S. government. Additionally, in response to the financial burden, I found this statistic, which stated that there are approximately 3.7 million unlawful immigrant households in the U.S., and they oppose a net fiscal burden of around $54.5 billion per year. So this will be the end of the video, but please feel free to see the resources that are available in the next two slides that can take you to the articles that were shared in this presentation discussing immigration reform. Thanks.